flag mast over there to your left with the flag at a 45-degree angle there. That's a remnant of the USS Portland. Back in World War II, that was a 16 Battlestar cruiser. Had a very storied career, and of course back in those days, battle stars really meant a lot. Like 2 or 3 battle stars meant something, 4 battle stars meant you were really punching above your weight, so 16 with a bunch of foliage on top in front of the Calendar Islands there. That is Fort Gorgeous, probably the most idiosyncratic element of our military tradition around here, just because it's very out of place. So you might notice that that looks a lot like Fort Sumter, so either way, very fascinating part of the history around here in Munjoy Hill regardless. This is the eastern promenade of the Portland Peninsula, also known as East End, colloquially among locals. This is pretty significant because it represents some of the only beachfront property through the entire coastline of Maine. Of course, when you think Maine, you might think like Old Orchard Beach. Kind of very fascinating because it was mostly farmland at the fire of 1866. So has a lot of surviving structures like the Portland Observatory over there to your left. Kind of looks like a lighthouse but serves the exact opposite function. So a lighthouse exists, basically a most recent one literally lasted until after midnight. It was supposed to be scheduled for like 4:30 to 6. So hopefully that's a testament to kind of our local level politics around here. Either way, in place of skyscrapers, you're mostly going to find this kind of high-density, stout, brick-plated, 150 restaurants now, as well as D'Angelo's grilled sandwiches. Sure, I'm kind of preaching to the choir here in terms of our predominantly New England. It was the subject of ire across the entire rest of the legislature. But for what it's worth, he did everything he could to speak for what he believed in, just at the expense of pretty much everyone. And so by extension, most of the people who live around West End, either politicians or trust fund babies or anesthesiologists or a combination of the three. That's pretty much the character of this area around here. Another example is coming up to the left over here. That is the George West Mansion that was built in 1911 for what was at the time a very jaw-dropping $100,000. This area here for the market because most of these buildings kind of harken back to an age when like air conditioning did not exist, for example. So no matter how well off you are, if you live in the West End, you're still going to have those dinky little air conditioning. Also, one of the rare examples of a non-rhotic dialect that still exists to this day, which basically means they do not pronounce the letter R at the end of syllables or words. So like whereas I from Central Kansas would say, oh, it's hard to park the car in Bar Harbor, somebody from the down east region would say, oh, it's hard to park the car in Bar Harbor, that sort of thing. 1991, after having them notice.
Yeah, just the older. Yeah, take that. With his wife, yeah.
Passed down generation after generation. You'll see some examples of lobster traps over here to your right. They basically have 2 little holes over there that are poked in at a 45-degree angle. Usually at the converging point of those 2 holes, you have a little trap or bait. Of course, the lobster chows down on that for a while, then it doesn't have opposable thumbs, so instead of like backing out, it just ventures further into the trap. It's known as the parlor.